Hey, how's everyone doing? My name is Cardinal Albert. I'm in the middle of trying to show you what I believe is proper civic education looks like. Um, on July 8, 2024 at 4:26 p.m., I sent a letter to members of Congress, Chief of Staff, and I also got the media involved in this. And just like anything else I know our political system is completely toxic and it's contaminated. But this one specific letter, I wanted to ask for a request for support and funding for DNA genealogy testing to identify descendants of slavery. Now, the people that I included in this was the president of the AFL-CIO, the scheduler for Chuck Schumer, Chief of Staff Michael Lynch for Chuck Schumer, Ms. Megan Terra, legislative director for Chuck Schumer. But the list goes on and on, right? There are a lot of conflicting issues that could be attacked head on. But the powers that be in our society, when it comes down to this particular issue, I'm just going to show you. This is a printout copy of it with the email of every last individual. I included them in this. And there's a fine foundation that I want to exercise to you. The oath of office is a critical tool, and the responsibility being that tool to build bridges somewhere, the responsibility of our elected officials is to do their job. Now, I have not received a response from my U.S. senators, Marco Rubio, Rick Scott, um, and my congressional representative, and Aaron Bean about trying to find some appropriation dollars for 2025 budget. Well, a lot of people that are in the beginning stages of being a civically engaged person, the most effective way to create change is when Congress is working on the budget process. It's just like on the state level and it's just like on local level. If you want to attack a problem, you got to attack it during budget season because during budget season is the only time you could get things done. Now, what I clearly outlined in this proposal is that I would love to see funding being allocated going through the Department of Human Health Services. Because when you talk about anything like DNA, genealogy, the, the proper department on the federal level that would consume this level of appropriation and kick it out to the states would be the Department of Human Health. And it depends on your state. If you try to go after these kind of funding to do things to identify descendants of slavery, um, it'll probably go out to either your state, the health department, or go to your children's and families department. It all depends. But what I'm trying to do is that for a long time, I've understood this. You want to always right the wrongs to make them right. And I know that I'm an African American, and I feel personally that I'm owed something. And I know the best way to fight for what you want is to use the same system that is designed to work against you, against them. This is evidence to show that I'm actually trying to get something done. But I have not heard a response from our elected officials. They pick up the phone, and that's about it. And at a critical time like this, I would think that members of Congress would want to resolve an issue like this. When it comes down to the budget process, they can put whatever they want in it, but they do whatever they want because, in fact, not everybody is knowledgeable about how broken this system is. It's not just broken, it is corrupt. So that leads me to another thing. I emailed Another suggestion: proposals for a constitutional amendment to strengthen our democratic and accountability representation. Now, I sent this on July 4, 2024 at 13:13 p.m. I've sent this to the CEO of AFL-CIO, the Chief of Staff for Senator Schumer, the Minority Leader, Chief of Staff Terry McCormack, Mitch, Senator Mitch McConnell, and to the Minority Leader for the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries. Now, I've tried to cover my bases because I got to make sure that I leave nobody out of the loop. But it also gives me paper trail to create, just in case something may happen to. Um, and I also put the media in. You know, there's a reason why people don't watch the news too much. It's because actions like this that most people are taking, they're creating a paper trail, and that raises the standards. Um, but inside my letter, what I want to do is I want to see constitutional amendments be included in the budget, because right now Congress doesn't come back to work officially in the Senate until September, and they put the final touches on the budget, because right now the House is working on the budget. So this is what I wanted to see happen. I want to propose a constitutional amendment to campaign finance reform. It could be legislation, or it could be a constitutional amendment, whenever one comes first. So what I wanted to put in it is a prohibit super PACs and amend the Constitution to prohibit super PACs from contributing to individual district campaigns. This measure ensures that electoral influence remains localized and democratic. The provisions that I would like in it would be district only contribution, mandate that only residents within a specific electoral district may contribute to campaign with camp to campaigns within that district, preserving the integrity of local representation. Uh, Another provision that I wanted in this legislation is public financing for small donors, establishing a public financing system for individual district campaigns, empathizing small donor contributions to amplify the voices of ordinary citizens, natural born citizens, contribution restriction, limit campaign contributions to natural born citizens of the United States to prevent foreign influence, ensure that democratic processes remain an American endeavor. So, all in a nutshell, what I'm basically saying about this provision in this amendment, in this constitutional amendment, or what I'm trying to say in all in a nutshell, is that I'm trying to provide the hammer and the carrot stick at the same time. All right. I'm coming at it full force with discipline. Let's get all of the waste. Let's get all the garbage out of the way first, so that you can build something new. This to me doesn't naturally have to be a constitutional amendment. It could be legislation that Congress can just simply push. Um, and then you come in with the upflow of the carrot to let them know, now that we straighten out everything, this is what you can feed off, just to cool the waters. When I say naturally born, I mean you gotta be a human being, and you gotta be a U.S. citizen to be able to put money into anybody's campaign. Number one, I want to lock down everything, and I want to eliminate all of the corruption. because that's what it's going to take. You got to break the hand of the child. Um, and that's very critically important if you want to straighten out a problem. Okay. Another thing is a constitutional apportionment amendment. Now, I've been following these gentlemen on my Twitter page called Uncap the House. Um, I've learned a few things just by them educating me. And one of the things that they made me aware of and do my own research is that James Madison proposed a 12th Amendment to the United States Constitution that basically states that each congressional district can only have 50,000 constituents, right? But it never came into fruition. So, since that never happened, there's been a lot of open dialogue on my social media platform from different people from different perspectives that they want to see change because our whole system's corrupt and it's not representing the people like it was intended to. And one of the things that I've been reading up on is that we already have something in place. It's just that our corrupt politicians who are backed by corporations are not following the rule of law, but they make the law, but they don't follow the rule of law. All right. Underneath Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution, George Washington had something written in saying that each congressional district seat can only have 30,000 people that they represent. Now, if you fast track it right now, we have over 330 million people living in this country. That means instead of us having 435 congressional members, we would have 11,000, which means that you take away the power of the elite class and you put it back in the hands of the people. So there is a lot of a lot of stuff that's been cooked up in the gumbo. And the one thing that I want to do is I want to enlighten people. Before I move on to this congressional apportionment amendment, I wanted to cover campaign finance reform because I think that's critically important. So I outlined that as my number one so that it could lead into number two. Um, One of the things that I would love to see happen in Congress is ban members of Congress from trading stock. And I mean everybody, from elected official to people who work in government on the federal level. I don't want to leave nobody out. One of the things I just crossed my path is that Congress has Congress on the Senate side, on the Homeland Security Committee, is taking up a ban stock trading legislation on elected official this coming week. I think it's on the 24th. I plan on attending that, but I will also encourage people out there to get involved in that because I think it's enlightening and I think it's an opportunity for people to grow to understand how you could be more effective with change. Um, Another one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention is that I would love to see a 12-year term limit on Congress with grandfather clause. A grandfather clause, what that means is that you won't be affected by the current amendment that goes into effect. So what I'm saying is that I want to see congressional representation in the House and in the Senate serve no more than 12 years in public office. And there's a kicker to it that protects current members that may win their reelection. That there's a grandfather clause that you won't be affected by. But if you lose your seat, it falls into effect for the next person that comes in to take your seat. And I think that's really critically important. Um, Another issue that I wanted to kind of like highlight to you is the Green Amendment. Ever since the Chevron ruling came out, I've been thinking about what kind of planet are we going to have now that now that the Supreme Court is making rulings based on the law. Let me make something perfectly clear about a conservative court. To me personally, I come from a conservative state. And one thing I will say is that there's nothing really wrong with having a conservative court, because what they do, they make our elected officials do their job. And in a lot of ways, Democrats don't want to work. They just want to spend taxpayer dollars and make a damn mess and hoping nobody catches on to the mess they make. So I put this idea forward in this letter, a Green Amendment, to ensure that enshrine a constitutional right to clean air, water, and a healthy environment. Because this is a critical moment in our history, and everything is falling apart because a lot of people don't are not really um, becoming aware of how this may be an opportunity to really move the needle, to finally get some things done. And I believe this is one of the tools in the toolbox that you can use to get this done with. And this is my caveat right here. Okay? I want to see a balanced budget amendment put on the books. You want to know the reason why? We have $34 trillion worth of debt. The average person would not understand what this looks like. I do. I don't have a college degree or nothing like that. But one of the things that I can tell you is that I've been to enough city council meetings and enough budget hearings on a local level. I have seen where that money goes. I know who pockets that money. Okay? When you start talking about a balanced budget amendment, you're talking about setting priorities of where you spend money. And in a lot of ways, our politicians on a federal level don't want to do a balanced budget amendment. A balanced budget amendment has always been a great talking point coming from the Republican Party. But are they serious about it? No. Democrats don't want to talk about a balanced budget amendment at all. And let me break this down. Let me give some clear examples of things that we know are happening right now. Number one, we have poor education system. Okay. Number two, we have poor healthcare system. Number three, we have poor infrastructure. And here's something that I want y'all to really look at as I'm trying to explain something. The Department of Defense budget alone for the 2025 budget year is $825 billion. All right, we're sending for one missile that is $14 million that goes onto a boat to Israel to bomb Gaza. But in this country, we got people sleeping on the streets. It don't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why are we going over there to kill children when we need to be focusing our priorities and fixing things at home? All right? I think our priorities are backwards. Our so-called elected officials are giving the American people crumbs off of the table of our taxpayer dollars so that they can be self-serving. Because I want you to understand something. There is a bill moving in Congress right now to ban members of Congress from trading stock. There are members of Congress that are Republicans who trade stock in the military industrial complex. Okay? And for me, that does not make no sense. That's why there is a bipartisan piece of legislation to ban them from trading stock, finna get heard this week. There's something fundamentally wrong with the current situation that we have in this country. We should not be sending taxpayer dollars to be bombing people. We need to be redirecting the dollars that we give to the Department of Defense and reallocate those dollars towards healthcare, education, infrastructure, housing. But our politicians are not willing to take care of the needs of the people. And you know, by the reason why we don't have a balanced budget amendment on the books, it's because we are a limited cash cow for the productivity that the working class Americans contribute each and every day. And to me, that makes no sense because things are going to get worse. And we know it's going to get worse. And I'm going to tell you why it's getting worse, because we don't have a balanced budget amendment on the books on the federal level. So they're going to end up after the election, whoever's president, we're going to be forced with tax cuts, reduce government services to help people, or we're going to be dealing with higher taxes. And for me right now, I would love for Congress just to do their job before they get to the tail end of their budget. I would love for them to basically take a good look at some of my constitutional amendments or legislation and include them in the budget. Because I've asked the clerk of office for Congress, they can put whatever piece of legislation they want into the budget. And I believe that these are some good ideas because it is time that we start cleaning up the problems with this nation. These problems are getting worse, and most effective way that we can do it is by making them do their job. They come running to us asking us for their vote, asking us for our vote, and they don't do nothing but shit on the people. The problems are growing because our politicians are self-serving. Capitalism is the reason why we are all struggling as a whole, because our elected officials are unwilling to do their job. And that is the problem in itself. And I'm just saying this, and I'm hoping somebody catches on and somebody can do their part, because we got to really start thinking about not only ourselves, but the fellow man next to you. Thank you and goodbye.